Welcome to the Diary of an African Entrepreneur, where we explore the stories of people building African businesses. We look at the stories, the strategies, and the struggles behind building successful businesses in Africa. I'm your host, Deji Adebusoye. I'm a partner at Sayo Capital, and we'll be sharing lessons from the front line of African enterprises. Today, I'll be exploring stories and insights from Ope Odobuye, the founder and CEO of Renda Africa. Renda Africa is a technology-driven fulfillment company simplifying logistics and order fulfillment for businesses across Africa. Using an asset-light model, Renda connects companies to a vast network of storage facilities, delivery vehicles, and cash collection partners, enabling them to store, process, and deliver goods efficiently. Through its Renda360 platform, businesses can manage inventory in real time, track deliveries, and streamline operations, empowering them to scale seamlessly in even the most challenging markets. Ope, it's a pleasure to have you on this podcast today.
Thank you so much, Deji. It's a pleasure to meet you, and also, it's always good to tell our stories as founders. Thank you for creating this platform, and just giving us a voice.
One of the things I see that Renda does is you help to book vehicles and warehouse spaces. Can you start off by just giving us a practical example of what that looks like in terms of LP book storage spaces and vehicles? Give us practical examples of what that looks like.
Our major product that we've been known for is what you're talking about, which is our Renda360 fulfillment product, which basically enable businesses to be able to store their goods, move their goods, and also collect cash on delivery. So in terms of how it works, so just think about Airbnb for storage spaces, because one of the things we've realized is that businesses want access to flexibility. For example, I might need 10 square meter in Lagos, 100 square meter in Kaduna, 200 square meter in Kano, depending on how much I'm scaling across markets. So businesses don't want to invest so much in warehouses spaces that they don't use. So we built that kind of system where you can basically take any spaces you want, in any size you want across any multiple locations. That's how our storage spaces works, basically. And the businesses can scale up, they can scale down. And also with our vehicle booking, today, businesses can come on our platform. You can book a truck, you can book a van, you can book a bike on our platform. No matter what you want to move, whether you want to move it cross-country, you want to deliver to your last-mile customers. If you think about any of the biggest manufacturers or FMCGs in the country, I can guarantee you that they are using Renda today. Think about the largest e-commerce businesses in Nigeria, they are using Renda today. So we built that infrastructure in a way that, businesses can just plug into it, basically. And in terms of cash collection, we also have a system where we enable businesses to be able to collect cash on delivery. And then our drivers are able to reconcile it back to us in real time. So far, we have about 5,000 drivers on our platform. So we don't own any assets. We don't own warehouses. We don't own vans. We don't own trucks. We don't own any assets. And that's the beauty of Renda as well. We are fully asset light. So we have over 300 warehousing partners in Nigeria alone. We also have about over 5,000 drivers that we've worked with since 2021. And I think one of the biggest problems we saw was that a lot of our drivers, on a daily basis, they had problems. They needed access to cash. The cash for fuel, cash for maintaining their vehicles. My vehicle has broken down. I can't buy fuel, etc. So we tried to solve that problem as well, so that we can build an entire ecosystem. So we are about to release a new product into the market called Scale by Renda. And it's basically an embedded finance solution for operators and also businesses within the mobility and logistics sector. And basically enabling them to access cash in terms of credit and also access services on a daily basis. So I want to buy fuel, I can access credit on the app to buy fuel, to fix my vehicle. Today, we have drivers across the country that are, fixing their vehicles with our credit, that are buying fuel on a daily basis with our credit. Some are even converting their cars to CNG via our credit solution. And just in our pilot phase alone, we've worked with over 2,000 drivers. We have some very key partnerships with ride-hailing companies, logistic companies, taxi companies, mobility companies. A lot of companies on our platform today, just within our pilot phase. So those are the two products we have at Renda today: our logistics and fulfillment solution called Renda360, and then we have our embedded finance solution called Scale by Renda.
If, for example, I want to book storage for my rice, am I going to be sharing warehouses with somebody? Do I go to the app, look for an empty or shared warehouse, or how exactly does it work?
I think you've already answered the question. So we have two types of spaces on our platform. We have what we call dedicated spaces, which is if a customer says, I need my own dedicated space, I don't want to share with anybody, right? So they can book it. So on the app, you're able to, choose whether you want a dedicated or you don't mind a shared space. So some customers just say, you know what, I don't mind whether it is shared or it is, self-owned. All I just want is a space that is affordable and also doesn't cost me so much. So those kind of customers, you can plug them into an existing space. So every customer is some customers are driven by cost, some customers are driven by convenience and and spaces and etc. So every customer, and the way we built it is very much as a customer, you come in, you choose what you want based on location, duration, size, types of spaces. Some people want cold storage, some people want dry storage, some people want temperature controlled storage spaces. So we have all those sort of solutions on our platform.
Okay, interesting. Thanks a lot for that. How do you manage security in the warehouses, especially for those who are sharing warehouses, for example, to make sure that people are not moving goods that are not theirs?
So what you have is that, typically once we onboard a space, we have SLAs. We will have done our quality check. We will have, we will have done, we have gone in there, looked at the security in architecture. For some spaces, we will have to place our own extra security in there, depending on the size of the space. So it depends on what, what size we are taking, what our customers require, what kind of goods are you storing. There are some spaces where we even have to create our own cages, or we create our own mesh just to demarcate our own spaces. So it all depends on the customers, but most times you either layer on existing security infrastructure. For example, if you're going to use a UPS warehouse, for example, the UPS warehouse is already storing customer goods that that are already high value. So they will have their own infrastructure. So you can have an SLA where you are sharing their fulfillment infrastructure, their fulfillment architecture, and also their security architecture within that building. So it all depends on the kind of relationship we have with a partner. Sometimes we have to place our own people there, especially when it's high risk goods. We have to place our own security that will manage both inbounding and outbounding of the goods within the location.
How many people do you have employed by Renda today?
So today we have full-time about 70 something in Nigeria. We've also launched in Kenya for our logistics and fulfillment business. We've launched in Kenya, but we're still early stage. We're still early days in Kenya. But Nigeria, we have about 70 something employees full-time, but we also have contract staff. We have ad hoc staff. So we have guys on the field that work for us, that oversee all our operations on the field, in our warehouses, in our loading sites. So, but within the business as a full-time employees, we have about 70 something.
Ope, to be very candid with you, trucking business is a nightmare in Nigeria. Truck drivers are the bane of many businesses. If you are not in control of those trucks, how do you manage reliability for the customers?
The other day, I was on a journey somewhere where we were traveling somewhere, and I told a guy, I said, "Can you imagine? Do you know how many of Renda's trucks are currently on the road?" And the guy asked me a question. He said, "And you're sitting here, you're not panicking."
I will be panicking if I was the one.
The truth is, we didn't get here overnight. One of our biggest problems in the business is risk, right? How do you manage risk with third-party infrastructure? And I think for us, we've been able to build certain processes. One of the things I've done over the years is I hired people that are a bit experienced, so they take some of the burden away from me. So we have experienced leaders that have worked in logistics in places before. They worked in e-commerce, fast-growing e-commerce companies that have done third-party, used third-party infrastructure. And I've also deliberately hired people from companies that have failed, because they know what it takes to fail. They know what it takes to lose money. They know what it takes to make mistakes. So we always reference that part. I remember when we first started trucking in 2021, we were still very small business, but I said, let's go into trucking as part of our infrastructure. And I remember within 2 months, one truck went missing. And there was 6 of us. I remember I had to personally jump on a plane and go to Kaduna to go and find this truck. And it involved me looking, begging people, go to police, go to the chairman of the market, go to this. But it taught me a lesson. And I said, I don't want to do trucking again.
Did you find a truck?
Yes, I did. But the process of finding it was, I can't even talk about it on the podcast. It was a crazy process. I mean, it was, Yes, just through that way, it was a crazy process. And I learned a lot. And since that day, I swore I would never touch trucks. I would never do anything long haul. But 3 years later, one of our biggest business lines is the long haul, right? And I can tell you that today, I can't even count the last time we had it, we had a loss or we had a diversion. And today we are moving goods, both long haul, and we have customers that are doing short haul with us, using vans, using bikes. Yes, there's issue within third-party infrastructure, but we also have to remember that no country or no economy can thrive without logistics. And I don't think that investors can keep on running away from logistics as a business, because it is the heart of the economy. For us, I think we've sort of had to just build those level of security as we are learning, from a people perspective, from a process perspective, and from a structural perspective. I mean, today we have networks of, we have like relationship with like police across the country, different kind of security agencies, because it also helps us when anything happens. Police can easily help us to, we've had situations where we've had like something going missing and you just call the police. Police will help you to find it, right? Based on, relationship you have with them. So I don't think you solve it in one way. I think what you have to build is a process that you build over a period of time, and you don't build it overnight. I don't think anybody can wake up and say, I want to go into trucking. If you do that and you don't understand the business, you are going to lose money. I can assure you 100%.
So if we look at Scale, you built Renda360 and now you're building Scale, and it's obviously because you saw a gap in the market which you're trying to fill with that provision. But like I like to explore, I want to understand how that works. So if, for example, I know today you have about 500 plus spare part providers that are signed up. So are you going to connect a driver or a truck owner, for example, who needs spare part to the spare part provider who has signed up on your platform, and then he can buy that spare part on credit? Or is there a different way it works?
So with all our businesses, we don't run a marketplace model. We don't connect to users. We are the service providers. And then we basically have third-party infrastructure in our backend. So for example, if you go on Scale today, you sign up, you want to buy spare parts, you place the order, you let us know what you want, we'll let you know the prices, and then we deliver to you. Today, by the time we go live with Scale, customers can place an order for a tire and you get tire within 2 hours, delivered to your house. You want to buy this.
So the customer will not interface with that spare part provider.
No, you don't know who the provider is.
Oh, okay.
No. So we have onboarded vetted providers. We have done our quality assurance, just like we do with Renda360. All our partners are within our own system in the back end. We don't run a marketplace model, because the truth is that if you run a marketplace model, any issues that happen still automatically affect your platform. So you need to have a level of control on what you're providing as a service. And that's how I've always built all our businesses. So even with Scale, our CNG conversion center partners, we have, we've done quality checks. Our repair centers, we've done quality checks, because we are the ones that the customers hold responsible. So, we're able to pass on warranties, etc. to our customers. But the beauty of it is that you sign up to the app today. Once you sign up and you become, you verify yourself by submitting all your details, then you automatically get access to a credit limit. And then we're able to increase the credit limit based on the number of transactions you're doing over a period of time. You can apply for more credit if you need it, and we will let you know what the requirements are. But it's a very seamless process. We have our mobile app for individual users. Then we have our platform, our business app, our business web app for businesses and also for partners. So the likes of Uber or Bolt, which are some of our partners, they can, use the app to be able to onboard their drivers and also, access our services.
And are you providing the credit off balance sheets, or how are you doing that to your customers?
We have a financing partner. We have a partner, Sidfi. So Sidfi is they're a long-standing partner of ours. Even within our logistics and fulfillment business, they've been a partner for the past, in fact, just over 1 year now. And then with our credit solution, they've also partnered with us. And then, so they're supporting us in terms of the, provision of access of capital. But in terms of managing the entire risk process, we have our own risk process, because we understand our customers. We understand who they are. We've been in the mobility and logistics sector for such a long time. So we know how we build our risk process. We understand exactly, how we serve these customers on a daily basis.
I will make a quick segue here. Looking back at when you started Renda, because one of the things that you see a lot of people want to do today, a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to start and they want to start like Dangote. I'm sure that you know that that's not the real story. What if Renda looked like when you first started, and if you compare it to what it is today, what do you think has happened between those two endpoints?
It was during the pandemic. She had just started the business importing goods into the country from Turkey at the time. And, I remember she used to store the goods in a room in her house. And I remember one day, it started like it was raining, or it was raining and the roof was leaking. So a lot of the goods in the house got damaged. And I remember that she was like, it's okay, let me just use the opportunity to count my inventory. And then she realized that, hold on, some of the goods were damaged, and also the house help she had hired was also stealing from her. So not only did she have damaged goods, now she had stolen goods. And then every day she used to have to pack those. Every time a customer makes an order, she used to pack goods, put them in a bag, label them every single day. And she used to do that every day. And I remember one day I asked her, I said, look, if you have to worry about where you're storing your goods, who is stealing from you, how you're packaging your goods, who's going to deliver these goods for you, how do you actually grow your business? And that was the question I asked at the time. And I said, you know what? Somebody must solve this problem so that you can focus on building your business. There must be an easy way for you to store your goods. There must be an easy way for you to process your orders. There must be an easy way for you to deliver your goods, even as you're growing, right? And that was where the idea for Renda came about. So I said, okay, let me build this solution where someone like her could access all this, all this solution in one place. And that's what we started building Renda at the time. And then we started building an app, and then I didn't even know anything about building tech because I'd never built a tech company before. But I just said, we just started building. I had one guy that came into our office at the time. He sat there, and then he just helped us started building this app. And I think like 80% of the way into building the app, I realized that we actually didn't know what we were doing. Right? We didn't have customers. We were not making money. So why are we spending money building this app? So I said, you know what? Let's just crash it. Let's put a hold on this thing, and let's start looking for customers. Because I'm a traditional founder, all I know how to do is build businesses that know how to make money. Today, if you come to Rendanians will tell you that when we come up with a new idea, the first thing Ope will say is, this thing must make money. I personally believe, and I could be wrong, if your business model if you cannot figure out how your business will make money without tech, it is very unlikely that tech will enable you to make money. And I think a lot of the mistake a lot of people make is that they want to go and build a product and start looking for market fit. So for us at Renda, our first product, Renda360, had already hit $1 million in revenue before we even got our first investment. So I had used my own personal funds to grow the business. So we had hit $1 million in revenue before we even started raising capital, before we even finished building. We only built our tech in 2024. But for me, we had to start a mix. So we're doing everything on Excel sheet. Today we are a business that makes billions of naira on a yearly basis. But the idea was so when we started Renda at the time, it was just a room. And I remember I took one room in our office, in Proten's office at the time. I took one room, and it was just like 6 of us, and we're just, saying, okay, we wanted to offer this thing, I went to buy 10 bikes at the time. Okay, I went to, do a logistic company, 10 bikes. And I can tell you that none of those bikes ever left the storage space. We never put the bikes on the road, even though I have painted them and I did everything, because I realized that I didn't want to own assets just after I've painted the bikes. So then I went third party, So we were just 6 of us at the time, and then we were just serving like small businesses, but we're not making a lot of money. Then I kind of realized that, there's a lot of big businesses and enterprise companies that need what we're doing, and they have bigger scale, they have more retention. They have this problem on a bigger scale. So we started focusing more on enterprise companies. Started with e-commerce businesses, the likes of Jumia, Omnibase, Kiosk, Market Force, all those kind of guys at the time. And then we've evolved. So today we are serving not just those guys, but also FMCGs, manufacturers, agricultural companies, some even projects for the government. We are being processed through our solution today. So we've gone from a team of 6 people in a small room in Ikeja today to a team of over 71 people that, with an office in Lupeju, in Lagos. So, yeah.
I had a call, I was on a conference call once, and I was presenting on building businesses, and somebody asked me a question. She said that, look, Deji, I with kind of business I'm building, is a tech business and requires financing upfront even before I can eat revenue. And I've also always been a big proponent of, look, you need to find a way to start making money as quickly as possible. And now you're saying exactly the same thing. And maybe for those who did not hear, let me say that again. You actually eat $1 million in revenue before you raised your first financing, which I think is extremely instructive. So I want to look at that in little bits in case for those who are thinking, oh, what do I need to do to to be able to get to that kind of numbers without raising money. Can you shed a bit more light? What are some things you did? What are some disciplines you put in place to make sure that people can you could eat that number even before raising financing?
So I didn't start Renda with the focus of raising capital. So don't forget that I had bootstrapped my other I have two other businesses apart from Renda. And these two businesses have always been bootstrapped. We had never raised, capital for them externally, and they are both profitable today, doing well on their own. So all I know how to do is build businesses and build profitable businesses, right? But the difference was that those businesses grew organically, right? There was no external investor pressure. We built them organically, and today they are doing fantastically well. So come to Renda. When I started building Renda, I didn't focus on raising capital. I just wanted to build something that people want, right? And I was because I'm obsessed with making money. I don't know whether it's the Yoruba man in me or it's the Jebu man in me. I'm obsessed with. Trust me. Listen, if you come to my office and talk to my tech team, they will tell you whatever you're prioritizing. If it's not connected to money, don't take it to Ope. My head of marketing will tell you if you're going to go out and do anything marketing, make sure that it's making money. So we speak money a lot at Renda, and it's a culture that everybody has. So today, our commercial team, they are ahead of the tech team. They're out there making money. They don't even wait for anybody. So I think for me, I wanted to make sure the business model worked. And I think sometimes we have to really simplify what a business model is, right? Because I feel like by wrapping tech around startups, we have lost the concept of business, which is, who are your customers? 1. What product are you giving them? 2. And 3, how much are they paying you? Are they willing to pay you? And how much are they paying you? And number 4, what is your margin from that money? So the question is, do you have a service that people actually want? Right? Yes, we did. Number 2, who did we want to serve? Like I said, we started with smaller businesses to start with. And we then migrated from that to now focusing on enterprise business. There's some people today, their focus is SMEs. And I'm doing fantastic well with just focusing on SMEs. We try to focus on enterprise companies. Same product, same service, but enterprise companies. Right? So you tailor it. So, and then also, we knew that they needed this solution every single day. Whether it is to store their goods or to move their goods. It's a daily need. So that was there. So, like I said, 1 is figure out what your solution is and be clear about it. Right? 2 is figure out who's going to buy from you. Right? 3 is figure out how much they want to pay for those goods, and then figure out how much margin you are going to make from that money, right? That they're going to pay you at any point in time. So for me, that's how I think about business, right? And then anything I'm doing around those 4 things, tech can optimize it. Tech can optimize my customer acquisition. Tech can optimize my product delivery. Tech can optimize my finance reconciliation. Tech can optimize, what's it called? Tech can ensure that my margins are better because it takes the place of manual work. So for me, my concept of business is that if you cannot run it with an Excel sheet, then that business has a problem, right? That is my own concept of business.
Thanks for that perspective. I think you've touched on some very salient points that people listening can glean from and actually tell themselves whether they are on the right track to make money. Like you said, make the money first. If you are focused on the money, the tech will follow all the time. It always works. I want to go back to a bit about your childhood, and how you got to where you are today. You said you didn't grow up in Nigeria. So I would like to, what about your childhood do you think plays a critical role in who you've grown to become today?
That's a good question. I wouldn't have built what I built today in Nigeria and the UK. That's just the truth. I couldn't have built Protein to what it is today. I couldn't have built 360 Verified to what it is today. I couldn't have built Renda to what it is today in the UK. I'm one of the people that are grateful for Nigeria. I'm grateful for the mess that Nigeria is, because the mess that Nigeria is what allows us to build the solutions that we are building today. If I look at all the solutions that I'm building today, there are solutions that are already existing in developed world, like the UK, the US, etc. But because we have such a huge population and we still have a long way to go, that is what is creating opportunities for people like me. And I'm so grateful for it, right? So with my childhood, I didn't have an entrepreneurial father. I didn't have an entrepreneurial family. What I did have was probably, I think when I went to uni, I think for me, I think the light bulb world, that moment, I can't remember, I think it was like at the end of my university journey that I said, you know what, I don't want to work for anybody. And I can't remember what even triggered it. And since that day, I held on to that thing. So I've never done a 9 to 5 in my life. I don't even know what it's like to sit here and do a 9 to 5.
What type of a leader are you? What kind of culture do you seek to build out Renda?
Like, the culture we have at Renda is a culture of openness. It's a culture of self-responsibility. And I boast about my tech team, by the way. And I tell people that I'm one of the only companies that hasn't lost an engineer in like 2 years.
Wow.
I think I've only lost one engineer, if I remember. Not because people have not tried to poach them, including my senior vice president of technology. And these are people that have built me 8 apps in just 2 years. I have one of the most amazing Gen Zs and millennials in my organization. I don't even have to tell my people, I don't even have to move or shout or do anything. They are such amazing and driven human beings. I think for me, that openness that we have, so we have town halls every single month. We share information among ourselves. We don't keep it in management level. When we are struggling, everybody must know. When we are doing well, everybody must know. So that culture of openness, that self-leadership, self-responsibility, those things really collaborative culture. So those are the things that we really, really drive as a business. But for me as a leader, I think I'll use the probably adaptive leadership. The kind of leader I was 5 years ago is not the kind of leader I am today. Because today, it evolves. In fact, the kind of leader I was last year is not the kind of, because today I have more senior leaders in my team than I did last year. And I can't lead senior leaders the same way I lead mid-level managers.
Absolutely.
So at every point in time, I'm always examining myself and saying, okay, Ope, what do you need to do? How do you need to behave? And I'm surrounded by such amazing people that are able to tell me the truth. I think for me, I lean a lot on the experience of my people, because I'm not an experienced person technically. So I really lean a lot on the people that I've hired to tell me what to do. And I'm so grateful for them because they help me to build what I'm building today.
What do you hope Renda's legacy will be for African entrepreneurs and businesses?
For me, the impact I want Renda to really make and the legacy I want us to leave behind are the people that will look at the name Renda and thank God that they were able to make money because we existed. That is legacy for me.
And that's definitely a powerful legacy. This is not just about you. This is about the hope you give to people and the opportunity for people to actually make a very decent living, which I think is what many people, are looking and seeking for, especially on the continents in which we reside within the African context. So thank you very much for that. So as we begin to tie things up right now, it's important to know how you unwind. I'm sure it's not all work. So how do you unwind? How do you stretch your legs?
So if you're looking for me, I can tell you where live band exists every single day of the week.
I like that.
Like I can tell you where live band, so I have a group of friends. There's 5 of us, right? We're in a WhatsApp. We're all entrepreneurs. One of them is the Riches, who came on your show. So there's 5 of us, and we just come up with, and we don't even discuss. Like, one of us owns a fintech, another one owns an agri-tech company, another one owns a security company, another one owns a law firm. So all of us serve each other, in our businesses, but we rarely talk about business on the platform. In fact, we never do. It's very much, where are we going this weekend? What's happening tonight? Which live band are we going to? Right. And we've built a community where we are able to, we support each other. Right. And for me, I think, that's important, and even though we help each other to make money, but, we don't talk about that a lot within our guys. Very much guys are, what are we doing? So having a community of people that just really just energize you is important. And I think for me also, I watch Netflix a lot, even though recently I haven't had the chance to, because this Scale product wants to end me. So it's like I haven't had that, so I mean, I like watching Netflix. I like gisting. So I can gist a lot about reality shows,
Interesting.
Like if you can, like, I just was.
I wouldn't have suspected that.
Oh, no, trust me. Like once, like Love is Blind, for example, I can tell, like, Love is Blind. Like I'm following the gist on everything. Like who got married, who got divorced. Wow, they got divorced.
Can you imagine?
What is the, like, we are sharing that. We are sharing that. We are really. I mean, so, but it's people that know me that know that side of me. So people think I'm serious. I'm like, no, if you don't know me, you think I'm too boss. I'm that person that's, all the gist that happen, I'll tell you every single gist that happens even though I'm a serious person, I'll tell you every gist that happens. So I'm a gist person. And I grew up with four sisters. So I'm the only boy. Right. So I'm in a group with like four ladies that are always talking about things that don't concern me. So we always, but yes, I mean, but I really want
my last question. What advice would you give to aspiring African entrepreneurs who want to solve big problems but are feeling overwhelmed by the challenges?
If you asked me 4 years ago where Renda was going to be in 4 years, I would not tell you that this was where we're going to be. I didn't know that we're going to launch a second product. I didn't know that we're going to be making billions on a yearly basis. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how we're going to evolve, right? But all I knew was that we had a vision of becoming Africa's #1 fulfillment, provider, right, for businesses. We're not there yet, but we're on that journey. So even if you have a big vision, take it a day at a time, but be clear on the vision. So today, we've gone from wanting to become Africa's #1 fulfillment service provider to now becoming tech-enabled solution provider within the logistics and mobility sector for emerging markets. So our vision has shifted from just building a product for Africa to now starting to build a product for emerging markets. And not just within the logistics sector alone, but also now within logistics and mobility. But that evolved over a period of time. So the point is, yes, you want to build something big, but while you are aiming for that big thing, don't forget about today. Right. And I always tell my guys that excellence cannot be taught. Right. Excellence is something that people learn over a period of time, and it has to be a habit that people are willing to really go after. You can teach people the concept of excellence, but you can't force them to be excellent in their work. They must be willing to do it. Right. So I always encourage my guys, look, whatever you do, make sure that you're aiming for excellence. Because if you do something well today, more doors will open for you tomorrow. So what we are today is a result of some of the good work we've done over the past 3-4 years. And we're doing it step at a time. So excellence is a culture that must be embedded within your business, but take it one day at a time while you have the big picture in mind. Don't be overwhelmed and don't try to build a Dangote today. Just focus on what you need to do and just build it one brick at a time. But do it excellently. And make sure that you don't compromise what excellence means to you.
Thank you very much, Ope. It's really been nice, hearing your story today. I honestly found this conversation quite insightful and very exciting. Thanks for listening to the Diary of an African Entrepreneur. If you found today's story valuable, please be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. It does help us to reach more entrepreneurs across the continent. Thank you very much.